Welcome to the Solo Success Lab, your microdose of field-tested strategies that actually work in solo practice. Don't waste time figuring it out alone. Here's this week's lab note. 12 questions that will transform your consultations. When I first started my solo practice, I approached client consultations like a legal version of speed dating. I had my checklist of questions. My objective was to get through them, gather the basic facts, quote a fee, and wrap things up in under 20 minutes. I thought I was being efficient. In reality, I was leaving money on the table and setting myself up for client headaches down the road. One particular humbling moment came when a potential client responded to me 2 days after our consultation to tell me that they'd hired someone else. "I just didn't feel like you understood what I was going through," they said. Ouch. That feedback hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized I had been so focused on getting through my list of questions that I had forgotten the most important part of the consultation: building a relationship and truly understanding the client's needs. So I completely revamped my approach. Instead of rushing, I started treating consultations as the foundation of the entire attorney-client relationship. And something remarkable happened. My conversion rate doubled. My client satisfaction soared, and those middle-of-the-night stress dreams about difficult clients disappeared. Today, I'm sharing the consultation framework I've refined over the years. These questions help me understand not just the legal issues, but the human being sitting across from me, their concerns, constraints, and goals. Let's dive in. Setting the stage. Before diving into the client's situation, I always take a moment to set expectations. This seemingly small step makes a world of difference in how the consultation unfolds. Does now still work for you? I start every consultation with this question, even when the client answers the phone right on time. Why? It shows I respect their time from the beginning. Sometimes life happens. Maybe they got pulled into an emergency meeting or their kid got sick at school. Giving them an easy out if they need to reschedule sets the tone that this is a partnership, not just a transaction. I wanted to take a few minutes today to learn more about the help you're looking for with a certain type of work and answer any questions you have. This simple framing does 3 powerful things. It reminds them that we have a limited time. I schedule 20 minutes and make that clear up front. It establishes a structure for our conversation, and it puts them at ease by letting them know they'll have space to ask questions. A client once told me, "I appreciate that you didn't make me feel like I was on the clock from the second you called." The irony, like most potential clients, that person self-regulated when we got close to the 20-minute mark. They were cognizant of keeping the conversation purposeful yet efficient. Understanding the immediate situation. I begin consultations by letting the client tell their story. I start with an open-ended, "Tell me a little bit about what's going on." This simple prompt accomplishes so much. It gives potential clients permission to tell their story in their own words, which often reveals emotional cues I'd miss if I had just jumped straight into fact gathering. I found that letting someone talk for 3 to 5 minutes uninterrupted does more to build rapport than anything I could say. When a soon-to-be married partner was struggling to explain what she wanted in a prenup, I simply sat back and listened. In those 5 minutes, I learned not just about the legal issues, but about her fears for her financial security and her personal feelings of betrayal, having seen her own mother struggle after her parents' divorce. Context that helped me craft a strategy that addressed both her legal and emotional needs. Depending on the potential client or the type of work they're looking for, some follow-up questions you might want to ask include, when did you first notice whatever the issue is? This question does triple duty. It establishes a time frame, which can be critical if you have statute of limitations issues. It reveals urgency, and it shows the problem's progression. Plus, asking when did you first notice rather than when did this happen acknowledges that many legal issues develop gradually rather than occurring in a single moment. What have you already done to try and solve the insert issue here? This question prevents you from wasting time suggesting solutions they've already tried. It reveals any previous legal counsel and potential conflicts, and it uncovers documentation they may already have. It also shows respect for the client's agency, acknowledging that they're not helpless but have already taken steps to try and solve their problem. Identifying pain points. Next, I dig into what's actually keeping them up at night. Asking, What's causing you the most worry or stress about this situation? The answer to this question often has little to do with legal technicalities, but it's what drives the client's decision making. A client might be less concerned about maximizing a settlement than ensuring the process doesn't disrupt their child's school year. Understanding these priorities helps me align my strategy with what matters most to them. Other questions you could ask include, how is this issue affecting your daily life or business operations? This question helps quantify damages, establishes case urgency, and reveals practical implications that might not surface otherwise. When a small business owner explains how a contract dispute is preventing her from signing new clients, you can immediately see she likely needs to seek an expedited solution rather than a protracted battle. Also asking, what have been the financial implications so far? Money talks. This question helps assess damages, identify budget constraints, and reveals additional stakeholders. When a potential client explains that they're facing a financial hit of $50,000 if they end up on the wrong side of the deal, your solution priced at $5,000 comes as a no-brainer. It's also a natural bridge for discussing your fee structure. Understanding the client's goals. Now that I understand their situation and pain points, I focus on where they want to go. What would an ideal resolution look like for you? This question often surprises clients who expect lawyers to dictate the path forward. By asking it, I empower them to articulate their own version of success. It also helps me assess the feasibility of their desired outcomes and manage expectations early. For one client going through a difficult divorce, the ideal resolution wasn't about getting the most assets. It was about minimizing interactions with her ex-spouse and ensuring a stable housing for their children. Understanding this helped me tailor my approach from the beginning. What timeline are you hoping for? Nothing creates client dissatisfaction faster than misaligned expectations about timelines. This question helps set realistic expectations and identify urgent deadlines immediately. If a client says they need a resolution in 2 weeks, when the process typically takes 6 months, it's better to have that conversation now than later. Another question you might ask could be, what are your biggest concerns about pursuing legal action? This question surfaces potential barriers, reveals cost sensitivities, and helps address misconceptions. Many clients have valid fears about the legal process based on horror stories that they've heard. By acknowledging these concerns up front, you can address them directly rather than having them simmer beneath the surface. Assessing resources and constraints. While I don't ask these particular questions as much now that I'm out of the complex space of family law, I often would explore practical limitations with clients to help determine the right service for their budget and expectations, including what resources do you have available to pursue this matter? This delicate but necessary question helps determine financial capabilities, identify support networks, and reveal time constraints. Phrasing it as resources rather than just money helps show that you understand that resources can come in many forms, from financial means to emotional support to workplace flexibility. Are there any specific constraints or limitations we should be aware of? This catch-all question reveals scheduling conflicts, confidentiality concerns, and potential conflicts of interest. If a client mentions that his employer didn't know he was seeking legal advice, that might completely change how you handle communications. Consultation best practices. Beyond the questions themselves, here are some principles that have transformed my consultations. Use open-ended questions. They yield richer information than yes/no questions. Practice active listening. Put down your pen occasionally and just listen. Allow for silence. Don't rush to fill pauses. Clients often reveal their deepest concerns in the moments after a brief silence. Follow up on emotional cues. If a client's voice quavers or their posture changes when discussing a particular topic, gently explore that area while offering empathy and compassion. Periodically summarize. So what I'm hearing is, shows clients you're truly listening and gives them a chance to correct misunderstandings. Avoid legal jargon. Nothing kills rapport faster than terminology that makes the client feel out of their depth. And maintain a conversational tone. This is a dialogue, not a deposition. Red flags to watch for. Over the years, I've learned to pay attention to these warning signs. Inconsistent narratives. Unrealistic expectations. Reluctance to share key information. signs of duress or undue influence, potential conflicts of interest, and statute of limitation concerns. Closing the consultation effectively. How you end the consultation sets the tone for the entire relationship. Here are 5 steps to take. 1. Summarize the key points. Here's what I understand about your situation. 2. Outline the service options that meet their needs. Describe what's included in a way that relates back to the needs and the pain points the potential client expressed. 3. Provide the fee up front. Transparency about money builds trust. 4. Set expectations for follow-up and do what you say. I'll follow up with you by tomorrow with the engagement agreement, or I'll follow up with you next week if I don't hear from you before then. And 5, provide immediate action items. Give them something concrete to do, even if it's just gathering documents or responding to your follow-up email. Your turn to upgrade your consultations. The beauty of a well-structured consultation is that it serves both you and your client. You get better information to assess the case, and they feel truly heard and understood. If you're still using the legal speed dating approach I started with, I challenge you to try this framework for your next 5 consultations. Pay attention to how clients respond, how much better your case assessment becomes, and how it affects your conversion rate. The most impactful change I ever made to my practice wasn't raising my rates or cutting expenses. It was learning how to conduct consultations that build the foundation for strong client relationships. That's your lab note for the week. Get exclusive strategies and PDF downloads not shared in episodes by subscribing at adifferentpractice.com/subscribe.